When we talk about decluttering as a way of making room for who you want to become, it's not just about the physical things. It is also very much about letting go of past versions of you and letting go of these physical ties to who you were before.
Welcome to Breakthrough Mode, the podcast where we intentionally get into the driver's seat of our lives, shift out of monotony and mediocrity, and step on the gas towards becoming the person we were always meant to become.
Hello and welcome to Wednesday in the Wild on the Breakthrough Mode podcast. I am your host, Megan Bauer. Thank you so much for joining me today and pushing play on today's episode. This is our first Wednesday in the Wild on our new weekly themed cadence. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I encourage you to go back and listen to either Monday's episode 250, where I give you a quick recap, or go back to Friday's episode 249, where I go a little bit farther in depth on the goal of this new weekly cadence and the journey that I am taking you on as you intentionally become. I am so excited about this new implementation, integration aspect of my work and bringing that to you. And so I want you to know what I'm talking about. And for those who know what I'm talking about, I don't want to drag into it again. But everything, all the context is there for you in the Monday episode or in the Friday episode. So that's either 249 or 250. Go ahead and listen to both of those so that you know exactly what's going on. Our weekly theme for this week is about making space to become. And we're talking about physical things in our lives that are quietly holding us down, quietly keeping us in versions of who we have been. So there has been a question that has come into my mind over and over the past weeks, and it has started because of an interaction between Jake and I. And now this was kind of a cheeky interaction, and this will give you kind of a glimpse of what it's like in my life and in our marriage, I guess. And I find the whole thing very amusing. But the best part is that although this has been an amusing story and an amusing experience and situation to keep reliving, it has also come up in a very practical way as I have gone through a process of decluttering in my own life. So I believe it was a Tuesday morning. I can't quite remember, but it was a morning and we were discussing what to have for dinner that night. And he made a suggestion, and I said, yeah, that works for me. And he responded in a playful, seductive way. He said, "You work for me." And then I very flatly replied, "I work for you." And that was it. The moment the moment was set. I had taken all of the playfulness, all of the seductiveness out of what he had said, and I completely changed the interpretation. So then for the next day or two, everything was, "Oh, I'll go get cherry juice for you because I work for you," or "Let me take the trash out because I work for you." And all of it has been said in good fun, and I have laughed every time I have said it, and he has just gone along with it because I have been so amused. And so taking this into how it has come up in my brain as I have looked at things in my environment, in my day to day, as I have really, we're preparing to move too, so it's like as I'm touching all of these things that maybe I just usually let be and don't bother, I have started to ask myself, does this work for me? And there's kind of this double meaning here. Like, is this thing that I am looking at, is it actually doing its job? Is it serving me in some way? If it's a book, is it a book that I like? Is it one that I want to read or reference again? Is it working for me the way a book should work for me? And if it's not, then it's got to go. Like, there's no purpose for this thing that isn't doing its job in my life. And then there's like this other aspect to it, right? The one that Jake was leaning into of, do I even like this thing? Does it work for me in this way? Do I want to have this thing around? Is it working for me as far as my preferences go? And if it doesn't work for me as far as my preferences go, then it also doesn't have a place in my life, in our house, and it gets to be released and moved on, right? This becomes tricky sometimes when we are decluttering and letting things go, especially as it is attached to versions of who we have been. So, very recently, I came across a box of books that had a lot of books about gallery management and that sort of thing, like the artist gallery relationship and consignment and all of that sort of thing, right? Some of it was very dry, some of it was more story based, but all of it was about how to run, how to own a gallery, the workings of galleries and things like that. So, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago, I really wanted to own a gallery. I wanted to open a gallery. That was my goal. That was my dream. That's what I wanted to do. And so I started collecting all of these books to learn as much as I could about how galleries operated and blah, 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 whatever. So coming across this stack of books was really an emotional kind of ride for me because they represented an old version of me, an old dream, an old ambition, and letting go of those was more of an emotional process than just getting rid of a stack of books. They didn't work for me anymore. They weren't serving a purpose. I wasn't ever going to read or reference these books again. And they didn't work for me in the sense that there was something that I wanted to keep around. So I knew that they didn't have a place. They didn't work for me. They didn't have a place in my house and in my life. And they also represented a version of me that I had outgrown, a part of my history, part of who I had been at one point. So then we get tempted to hold on to things like this because of that emotional attachment, that like dream that was never realized. And that can be really hard to let go of. However, the books also carry this quiet emotional weight of dreams never realized, of this version of me that I never became, and the emotions that I have attached to that. I could feel failure about never making it happen. I could feel shame. I could feel, you know, sadness. I could feel loss for that version of who I was. There are all of these emotions. And by keeping that stack of books, I am keeping myself tied to who I was. And by keeping myself tied to who I was, keeps me from moving forward into new dreams, new aspirations, new clarity on even who I want to become now. So, when we talk about decluttering as a way of making room for who you want to become, it's not just about the physical things. It is also very much about letting go of past versions of you and letting go of these physical ties to who you were before. And even the person that you wanted to become, but never actually happened. And sometimes that's the hardest part because we don't want to let dreams go sometimes. We want to, feel like there's this completion, but there's not always a completion, not an obvious one anyway. Sometimes there's just a moving on, a letting it go and a moving on. So things like that stack of gallery ownership books, they don't have a place in the business I'm building, in the life I'm building, in who I am becoming now, because the likelihood of me creating a gallery at this point, it doesn't it doesn't feel like it's cohesive to what I'm creating. And here's another thought too. In the event that I return to that dream, in the event that my heart feels on fire about creating that dream again and building a gallery, I can always go get another stack of gallery ownership books and dive in once more. I can let that go for now, trusting that if I were to ever return to it, I would be supported in all of the information that I need at that time. So there's multiple things there, right? There's letting that person go, letting that dream go, and trusting that if that dream comes around again, you'll still be supported in having everything that you need, even if you let it go before. It's kind of like that saying of like, if you love someone, let them go. And if they love you or are meant to be in your life or something, they'll come back or whatever it is. The same thing I think is true about who you're meant to be and the dreams that you have. If there's something truly, truly meant for you, a life, a accomplishment, a person you're meant to become, you can keep letting it go and it will keep returning to you because it is simply meant for you. So trust in that as you let go of things that tie you to who you have been. And these things that carry that emotional weight, once you let them go, once you release them, whatever space those things occupied will feel so much lighter and they will literally, physically, emotionally, mentally, and energetically be open for who you are becoming now. And that will feel so much better than being tied to an old version of you that no longer resonates, who you have outgrown. And yeah. Okay, that feels pretty complete. Thank you so much for joining me on our first week with a weekly theme. I totally love you. Bye for now.